Hi everyone, today is August the 19th and this is the Moneyball Morning Report for the Benzinga Pro platform. My name is Anne-Marie Band. We are looking at some price action that is probably going to send us well up into the upper edges here over the next little bit. We might even see new all-time highs. Shocking as that is, we could be headed up into that 56.65 area. The reason I have this Fibonacci is because I am looking at extensions that come off of the initial balance, which is the 930 to 1030 area. I'm tracking the highs and lows, and so we'll be looking at that. This was for Friday. I can't draw the one for Monday until it actually happens, but then we'll see what the range expansion is going to be like. As we can see, this is 9:30 on Friday, 10:30 high, right? So the low between 9:30 and 10:30 down here, the high between 9:30 and 10:30 here, and then this is what price action gave us into, indeed, the opening range of the following day. So it's my suspicion that these things track each other with a simple trend line. And of course, we don't have simple trend lines here. We do have one moving average and the VWAP, but it is showing that these lines are pretty important. And so, that's what we'll be staring down. For right now, I'm going to take it off because it's in the way. But that is what we are going to be looking at today to sort of help us out. What do we expect? A little bit of sideways action, but trending higher. Dips are buy zones, folks. Dips are buy zones. And so what we have to look at is where the ideal dip is. My thought is 55.66. If it loses that edge, pretty much rarefied air all the way down into this low edge of this volume profile here and this auction. So, holding this is going to be pretty important. If not, we've got congestion way down here, and then we have the low volume node all the way back at 53.88. My suspicion is that's exactly what happens to us. We do move up, and then we collapse, and then fill in this volume profile. It remains to be seen whether that actually gets done or not, but there it is. Okay, for SPY, what we are looking at is a topping formation here. We could see a move back up into relative congestion. That's 558. If you're looking to draw Fibonacci on these guys, I think the first 30 minutes coming in at 9:30 might be the better bet, but I don't know. Let's have a peek. 9:30, Fibonacci extension. Well, yes, indeed. That's exactly what happens. I don't know that the 10:30 one might, well, it also works. Isn't that interesting? So you can measure either of these for targets up. Do not use them as reversal patterns when you are looking at a trend that has two sets of moving averages and several momentum indicators that say everything is moving to the north. That would be, trying to pick up pennies in front of steamrollers. You don't want to do that. Pullbacks are buy zones. Ideal pullback somewhere around 552-ish. If we're fortunate, it'll come into 547-ish, and you'll be able to pick it up there. But dips are certainly buy zones. Let's take a look at the NQ. For the NQ, we've got a trend break off of this downside wedge. It came right up well above my target zones into the heavy congestion area where it sits today. Remember, we want to take a look at price and go, am I above the close of the prior day? And what have the 2 to 3 candles to the left told me about the motion? The motion is clearly by the dip. Thursday's motion is very outsized, creates a thin volume profile. That could also mean pullbacks could be a little bit deep, right? They could come back well into this heavy congestion. This is a value area low. Price action just above that would be 19,269. Where are the traders going? Well, my suspicion is that they are headed to the north into the last area of heavy congestion up at around 20,028. And then again above that at this higher area of congestion. But I don't really see us making new highs. Call me crazy. I just don't. Now, why, Anne-Marie? I'm not really sure I can put it into words. The backdrop doesn't feel pretty, okay? And as soon as I learn how to put it into words, I will be sure to tell you. Okay, here we are. Next line in the sand for the Qs are 483 all the way up to 486.50. Those are some pretty important areas. We are above the close of the prior day by a fair bit, trying to break out into the congestion area that ends at around that 482 number. Pullbacks are buy zones. Ideally, we want it to come into the top of heavy congestion, but I don't know, right? We do have a slurry of earnings this coming week, but we also have the Fed at the end of the week. It could be very sticky and very algorithmically driven, meaning we head up and then we roll right back over. Okay, the YM. The YM is doing very well in its bounce to the north. It's got a thin volume event here, Thursday being that very dramatic trading day. And so a pullback into heavy congestion somewhere around 40,300 would be great, but that's, 500 points away. Do I think we chop sideways today? I do. I suspect that we don't have a pullback that's any deeper than about 40,590. And if we do, watch for it to recover, because that will make for the long. Pullbacks are buy zones no matter what time frame you're looking at. And when that's the case, when everything says pullbacks are buy zones, the first thing you want to do is go, I'm not going to short. Where's my pullback? And if you have a pullback that bounces and fails to make a new high, then you can change your mind intraday. Other than that, no cigar. Let's take a look at oil. Oil rolled last week, but it also rolled down. And we can see certainly, as I mentioned last week, nobody wants oil up at 80. And so they're not going to get oil up at 80. And it rejected that 78 to 80 area and is pulling back. Where is a good space for it to bounce? I don't know. I actually see oil lower than this, but we do have these areas at around 72.60 to 71.40 that might hold it. 74.37 is the last area I've put as a clean zone. Value area low shows at 73.84. Lastly, we'll take a look at gold. Gold also in a roll. And this Fibonacci is using this area between the high of 24.70 and a low of 23.50. That gives us an expansion level that we think ought to be pretty interesting. Okay, so let me remove this fib and draw the new one with the new fib levels that I have. 1.382. Yeah, this chart has got a lot of room to run in the grand scheme of things, right? It's got a lot of room to run. Not sure what the next currency shoe to drop is, but there's a currency shoe that's going to drop. No doubt about it. All right, folks, that's it for me. I'll see you on the platforms. Remember, Zoom midday for Benzinga Pro members. We'll go through all the trades we have, and then you can see me on Strategy Lab on Top Step TV on YouTube.